House Oversight Committee is now finally investigating the Uranium One deal. It follows the Senate Judiciary Committee that launched an investigation last week after reports revealed the FBI and evidence from an informant that Russian nuclear officials were involved in fraudulent dealings in 2009 before the uranium deal was approved. Congressman DeSantis is calling for the Justice Department to now remove that non-disclosure agreement that prevents the former FBI informant from testifying about the bribery scheme before Congress. Attorney General Loretta Lynch's Department of Justice blocking the informant from testifying last year, threatening criminal action against him if he were to do so. My first guest tonight is the attorney for the FBI informant at the center of the Uranium One scandal, and joining us tonight is Victoria Tanzing, founding partner of the DeGenova and Tanzing law firm. And Victoria also, of course, the former Deputy Assistant Attorney General in the Criminal Division of the Justice Department in the Reagan administration. Victoria, it is great to see you again. And
good to be here, Lou. And God bless Ron DeSantis, for goodness sakes. You think they're going to learn how to govern? He
kicked over this particular can and sounded the alarm. And it's just extraordinary that the state, before we even get to the investigation, that we learned that the Republican leadership was blocking that investigation a year ago.
Hey, Lou, they did that to me in Benghazi also.
Exactly.
They were quashing that investigation.
So we are again. Is that speak? I'm going to ask for a judgment here. Trey Gowdy is now the head of oversight. Why is he not doing something? He was the head of various committees, including Benghazi, that produced absolutely nothing in the way of concrete or results or resolution.
Well, we're glad that Ron DeSantis is doing it because he's a former federal prosecutor, and he's a go-getter on this. I think he'll do a great job.
Let's turn to your informant and the gag order that prevents him from going before Congress. Are you surprised that the Trump Justice Department has not lifted that gag order?
Well, I did not go to them, Lou. I decided when I got the case, and that was only a few weeks ago, that the best person to speak would be the chairman of the Judiciary Committee. I think he has more authority in his request than I do. So that was my strategy, to go and have Chairman Grassley, and God bless him too, because he's been interested in this issue for a couple of years now. So he immediately issued a letter to the Justice Department and to me at the same time, asking to interview my client. So he gave Attorney General Sessions until November 1st to cough up that NDA. You know, we don't even have a copy of it, so we don't know what it says.
But your informant presumably does have a very good understanding of what it prohibits him from doing.
He does, because a year ago, when he had brought a civil suit, his then lawyer was told by the Loretta Lynch Justice Department, if he goes forward and he does not dismiss the case, his reputation and liberty are in jeopardy. And when the Justice Department talks to me about my liberty, I figure that's a prosecution.
And extraordinarily, this is a gag order, a non-disclosure that has a criminal penalty.
No.
For breaching it?
That's what the Justice Department said. Lou, I have never heard of a criminal penalty for an NDA. Not in all my years of practicing law, and it's been a good many. Also, if it does, and it is unconstitutional and it's invalid, if it prohibits my client from giving information to the legislature, the executive cannot say to people, hey, you can't give information to another body of the government. So it's either invalid or it doesn't say what they said that it said.
So where are we? It seems like the most expedient measure would be, you're the attorney and one of the country's best, but at this point, why not simply get a decision from the Attorney General to lift that gag order and move ahead with these committees? I mean, we have, as Congressman DeSantis pointed out, 3 committees investigating the Trump administration without an iota of evidence or a definition of a crime. In the case of the special counsel, the Senate and House Intelligence Committees alongside them carrying on an investigation now. In total, cumulatively, we're talking about over a year and a half of investigation without producing even, as Senator Richard Byrd, the chairman of Senate Intelligence, put it, even preliminary findings, because there are none. Why in the world can we not have just a straightforward answer the American people one time from their government? This is what's going on, and these are the people responsible.
Call the Justice Department and ask them if they're going to comply. Of course I do. Of course I do.
I think we can consider this a phone call right here.
Good.
With pictures.
Yes. Well, you know, let me tell you that for some time now, since Peter Schweizer's great book, Clinton Cash, we have had what I call the equivalent of the Menendez case. In the Menendez trial, criminal trial, it's that Senator Menendez had all kinds of authority to carry out things for people, and he had a doctor friend who gave him all kinds of goodies. That's what they went to trial on, and the prosecution is allowing the jury to decide whether there was criminal intent. We already have that for the Clintons. Think about it. We already know that Bill Clinton got $500,000 for a 1-hour speech, not my fees, maybe yours. And that's just 4 months before this deal went through with CFIUS, and that the foundation got tens of millions of dollars, specifically.
Well, $145 million in point of fact.
And the director.
$145 million from one deal. Now, that's quite a quid or quo, however you want to construct it.
And the deal went through. And there were other things that will come out that the State Department did for the people involved, visas and allowing them to enter the United States and all that kind of stuff as this goes on. But we know the deal went through. There's a quid and there's a quo, you know, and what my client does is just put a little more meat on those bones.
A little more or substantively more? How, wait for us, if you will, weigh for us the impact of what he does know and what you may have learned from him.
Well, I don't want to get in the business of my violating an NDA.
No, I wouldn't ask you for any specifics.
So, but I think it's quite significant. He can tell what all the Russians were talking about during the time that all these bribery payments were made.
At what point does the national interest become so evident to even the swamp in D.C. that they have to make rational decisions about what the Congress can learn and the American people must know?
Lou, I was called a few days ago by someone from CNN just asking me some questions, and I said, "Oh, don't you want me to go on and discuss it? We'll get back to you." I mean, we can't even get anybody else but Fox to do the story.
And America should never forget that.